So despite me feeling like absolute shit this weekend and possibly contracting COVID, I decided to get my sick ass up from bed and watch the Demon Slayer episode today. And I had been seeing a lot of stuff circulating on Twitter saying that Demon Slayer knocked it out of the park with this episode. And to be quite honest, I was fully expecting this episode to be the Cracked-est episode. After clickbaiting it last week, last week's episode was good, but it wasn't the best so far this season. And I gotta say, man, forgive my energy for not being as high. I took 2 Tylenol a couple hours ago. Hopefully that'll get me through this video at least. This episode gave me very, I don't want to say Rui versus Tanjiro vibes, but I do want to say it because this episode had the same ending transition the way that the Rui versus Tanjiro fight did, where it doesn't have the typical ending song. It has a unique ending song and a unique ending transition, almost like they knew this episode would hit. And I gotta tell you, man, this episode was crazy, man. Listen, Tanjiro versus Daki, when the blood leaked into his eyes, was an alpha moment, alright? That episode was cracked. Tengen versus Gyutaro, the first episode, was cracked-er, okay? The animation in that episode was baller. Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro versus Daki was a good episode. It wasn't the best episode, and I'm not going to rank it below or above the other two. It just kind of continued the momentum. It was a good moment. But this episode cemented the season and the Entertainment District arc as a fucking baller, dude. Okay? Obviously, spoilers if you haven't seen the episode. But if you have, then that's why you're probably here. This episode was fucking crazy, okay? Because after the last week's cliffhanger, Tanjiro gets a pep talk from his sister, and we wake up to the entire Entertainment District arc in flames. Completely inflamed, engulfed. You know, every final battle of an anime arc has to have some sort of like flaming lava fire theme, right? You know, it gives us Planet Namek. It gives me Planet Namek vibes. Obviously, the planet's not going to explode, and I'm not saying Demon Slayer is Goku versus Frieza. That's up to your... That's your opinion if you want to believe that. But what I do want to say was, we kick off the episode with a little bit of talking as Gyutaro offers Tanjiro to become a demon, and then snaps his fingers. I will say the part where he breaks both his fingers... that was very cringe for me. Not bad cringe, and like that was cringe. No, it was cringe as in like, seeing a dude's bone sticking out of his knee cringe. All right, I just heard the crack and I was like, ugh. And then of course all the shots of his fucking fingers in a very inhuman direction definitely didn't help. But I don't know, man. Something very low key is that. Sorry. I don't know. This episode, I thought Gyutaro was pretty cool. His voice was solid. Whoever did the voice actor for him, I think, really nailed it. But I thought Gyutaro being the twist villain, or I mean, I guess you could call him a twist villain, being the twist villain of the arc, was kind of his main focal point. His abilities were cool. I think we're gonna get his backstory next week. We're gonna get Daki and him's backstory, and I don't know the backstory because I haven't read this part in the manga. But I don't know. Gyutaro's charisma really sold me this episode. Whoever the voice actor for that guy is, dude, he needs to get a bonus because my God, his voice is just fucking great. Really sold it for me, at least. Daki was fine too, but Gyutaro, whoever did Gyutaro, I felt like went above and beyond. And we then get the great headbutt moment. It looks like Tanjiro was running away with Nezuko until he headbutts him and stabs him with one of the fucking daggers or whatever while doing something with his nose. But We then get the part where Tanjiro tries to slash through Gyutaro's neck, and he can't do it. And Gyutaro ends up removing the dagger and slashing the blood blade, so Tanjiro once again fails. One of the things I like about this episode, about this arc, is that Gyutaro and Daki they're Upper Moon 6. It's definitely no laughing matter. I think Upper Moon 6 is the lowest rank of the Upper Moons, because I think Lower Moon 1 is where you start to get to like the other 12. So Upper Moon 6, technically they're the weakest, but they're still an Upper Moon. And I don't know. I really like how they really had to work for it, because with Rui, Tanjiro kind of caught Rui by surprise. And yeah, Tanjiro failed to cut Rui's neck that one time. But I feel like in this arc, they had a clean window to cut Gyutaro's neck multiple times. They also cut Daki's head off multiple times, and it didn't work. So for them to fail on this one, because I actually thought Gyutaro was going to get his head cut off here, and then Daki wasn't going to get her head cut off, and that's how Gyutaro was going to survive. They would have to get Daki this time, but Gyutaro actually manages to survive, and Tanjiro can't cut his head off. And then we get Tengen's big reveal. He's back. He doesn't have his hand, and he did something, like he stopped his heart or something to prevent the poison from killing him. And I'm gonna say this, dog. The corresponding scene where Tengen and Gyutaro just go off was straight out of some Dragon Ball Z shit. There are explosions up the wazoo. There's fire everywhere. Both men are just yelling at each other. The testosterone was flowing for me, okay? I was definitely feeling manly after watching this episode. And to be honest, the animation for that scene was off the fucking charts, dude. Alright, I know that I've, sucked off the animation of Tengen versus Gyutaro before, and I've sucked off the animation for this entire season. But Demon Slayer animation, dude, is unbelievably top tier, and I feel like everyone says this, but you have to give credit where credit is due. And the animation for this episode was fucking incredible, especially the scene where they just go at each other, man. It was some of the most raw shit I've ever seen. It's not even like there's like an emotional conflict behind it. It's just raw fucking shit. There's obviously a little bit behind it, right? Because Tengen's the flashy guy and Gyutaro's not. You have the typical philosophy, but you then get to the part where Tengen slashes Gyutaro and Tanjiro comes in from behind, and I think he summons the mark here. I don't know for sure because I haven't read this part in the manga, but I'm pretty sure he summons the mark, or whatever it's called. The mark of whatever. And he doesn't have any pupils in his eyes like most anime figures do in serious points like this. But we then have Tanjiro summon all the strength as him and Tengen cut off Gyutaro's head finally. And then we have Zenitsu using Godspeed. I didn't expect Godspeed to be here yet. I thought he used Godspeed in a future fight. But he uses it here. And he almost slashes Daki's neck, except he can't do it. And then we get a big reveal that Inosuke is so flexible that he can rearrange the internal organs in his body. So Gyutaro didn't pierce him in the heart. However, that seems like some bullshit for me. But you know what? I really don't care because this episode was amazing anyway. For any flexibility experts out there, I would love to know if you can actually rearrange your organs. I have a sneaky suspicion you can't. But if you can, then call my mind blown because that shit is sick. So then we get the final moment of Zenitsu and Inosuke cutting off Daki's head at the same time as Tengen and Tanjiro cut off Gyutaro's head, and they cut them both off, and both their heads roll as they look at one another. And I'm not gonna lie, you know that meme where it's like, oh, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie? I thought that was it. I thought they were gonna transition to the next episode, and I thought the 45-minute finale was going to mainly be about Gyutaro and Daki's backstory and their decay, because they're Upper Moon 6. They got to have a good backstory, right? But no. We see Tanjiro kind of get hit with the poison. Oh, I also did want to say, but I didn't expect Tanjiro to get sickled right through the mouth. That has got to feel bad. But we then see Tanjiro trying to contain the poison. But then we see Tengen, through like the blurry vision, yelling at Tanjiro that it's not over. He says, "Get up, it's not over." And I will admit, that threw me off. I didn't expect it to not be over. But then we get the big reveal that Gyutaro's body is still working, and he unleashes a huge amount of blood blades that basically decimates the entire area. And it decimates the entire area. You then get a bunch of, all the fire kind of turns into just this orange transition, and it pretty much looks like a crater. There's no buildings left at all. Everything is just a crater. And instead of giving us a reveal on what happens, that transitions directly into the end song. And that's the cliffhanger. Obviously, I don't think they're going to die. But I'm very interested to see what happens next. This episode was unfucking believable. It was, voice acted, animated, choreographed. I don't know if we do choreography for an animated fight, but Demon Slayer has knocked it out of the park. And to be honest, this episode was fucking incredible. We finally got to see the three main characters fight together. Tengen was a much better character than I expected, and I think it's safe to say that this is the definitive Cracked-est episode, the best episode in Demon Slayer Season 2. I'm not going to count the Mugen Train arc, because you might like Rengoku versus Akaza better than this fight. And you know what? That's fair, but I'm going to count the movie. This episode was just great. So great. Demon Slayer is top tier at this point. I don't know what else to say, man. Sorry for being sick and not yelling or being excited, but hopefully this is the last day. I feel much better than 2 days ago, so hopefully I can get it under control and actually be able to leave my house. Not that I would want to leave my house, but it's always nice to have the option open. And I'll see you guys probably next week for the ending of the season. I'm thinking of making a season review. I have some things to talk about for Season 2, but this episode was the best of the season, hands down. And this is not even clickbait this time. This is Sick Gordon signing off, because I need to eat some breakfast. I'm so fucking hungry.